I found out my sister had stolen my son's birth certificate when the school called me. It was a Tuesday. Ordinary. I was folding laundry when my phone buzzed. A cheerful woman on the other end said, "Hi, Mrs. Blake. Just confirming Noah's transfer request is finalized. He'll officially be registered under Mrs. Carter as his legal guardian." I froze. "Excuse me," I said. My voice came out sharper than I intended. She repeated it slower this time, like I was the confused one. "Noah's legal guardian, your sister, Mrs. Carter. We just received the certified documents this morning." My heart stopped. My sister Claire. My little sister. "No," I whispered, gripping the counter until my knuckles turned white. "There's been a mistake. I never signed anything." There was a pause on the line. Then the woman lowered her voice. "Ma'am, the documents are notarized. This came directly from the state registrar's office." I couldn't breathe. I hung up without another word, my hands shaking so badly I dropped the phone on the floor. My son Noah was 6. My whole world. And apparently on paper he wasn't even mine anymore. That's when I knew Claire had done something unthinkable. Claire has always taken what was mine. When we were kids it was toys. I still remember my 10th birthday. I had begged for weeks for a silver charm bracelet. The moment I unwrapped it, Claire whined until Mom told me to let her borrow it for a little while. I never got it back. When we were teenagers it was clothes. She'd sneak into my room before school, steal my favorite tops, and then smile in every yearbook photo wearing my things while I looked plain next to her. And when we got older it was money. She borrowed small amounts when she was between jobs. Then larger amounts when she got pregnant at 19 and the father disappeared. My parents expected me to cover the gaps. "She's struggling," Mom said. "You're more responsible. Help her." That was the story of my life. Claire needed and I provided. She cried and I sacrificed. I was the reliable one. The one who cleaned up after her disasters. But Noah was supposed to be untouchable. When I had him at 28, I swore no one would take anything from him. I raised him alone after his father walked out before Noah was born. I worked 2 jobs, I skipped vacations, I gave up everything for that little boy. And Claire, she played cool aunt. She bought him toys, took selfies with him, showed him off on social media. First I thought it was harmless. She loved him, I told myself. Family loves family. But then small things started happening. She'd introduce herself as his other mom at playgrounds. Correct people when they called me his mother. "Oh, we share him, actually." I laughed it off, but it felt like ice in my chest. When Noah was 5, she tried to enroll him in a kids' soccer program. She wrote her own name down on the forms under parent/guardian. I only found out when they called me to confirm his attendance. She always had an excuse. "It's just easier this way. You work so much, I'm just helping. Don't be so dramatic, we're family." And every time I swallowed my anger, I told myself she couldn't possibly mean it. That she was just careless, selfish. But now, staring at the phone still buzzing with school notifications, I realized it had never been carelessness. Claire had been practicing for years. And this time she'd stolen something I couldn't get back so easily. My son. I drove to Claire's house that night. I don't even remember making the decision. One moment I was pacing my kitchen. The next I was on her porch, fists trembling, ready to pound the door down. She opened it smiling. Smiling like she'd been expecting me. "Hey sis," she said casually, leaning on the frame. "Noah's asleep. Don't wake him up." Those words. Noah's asleep. Like she was the one putting him to bed. Like he was hers. I shoved past her before I could stop myself. "What the hell did you do?" I hissed. Her smile didn't falter. She followed me into the living room like we were having some sisterly spat about clothes. "I don't know what you mean." I spun around, my hands shaking. "The school called me. They said you're listed as Noah's guardian. His legal guardian. You forged documents, Claire. What did you do?" Finally she dropped the mask. Her smile thinned. She sat on the arm of the couch, crossed her legs, and tilted her head. "I didn't forge anything," she said calmly. "I filed the paperwork. You're welcome, by the way." "You're welcome." My voice cracked. "You stole my son." Her eyes hardened, and for the first time I saw it. Not the messy, needy little sister I'd been protecting all my life, but something colder. Calculating. You work 16-hour days, Emily. You dump him on babysitters half the week. Do you think that's what a real mother does? He needs stability. He needs me. I felt my stomach twist. You have no right. I have every right, she snapped, standing now, her voice sharp as glass. I've been raising him too. Who do you think he runs to when he's scared? Who tucks him in when you're late? Who he calls mommy? Sometimes when you're not around. The words landed like blows. I actually staggered back. I wanted to scream, to claw her face, to rip Noah out of the house right then, but the truth froze me. Because some of it was true. I had worked too much. I had let her watch him, grateful for free childcare, never imagining she'd twist it into this. But then she leaned closer, lowering her voice into a whisper that made my blood run cold. Face it, Em. On paper, Noah's mine now. And soon he'll believe it too. I stood there shaking, every muscle screaming to fight. But something inside me snapped differently. Not rage. Not panic. Clarity. This wasn't just about family drama anymore. This was war. And I wasn't going to lose. The next morning, I called the registrar's office. I gave them Noah's name, my name, everything. I expected them to say there was a mistake, a typo, some glitch in the system. But the woman on the phone just said, "Ma'am, according to our files, Claire Carter is listed as the sole legal guardian. The forms were signed, notarized, and filed 2 weeks ago." 2 weeks. That was when Noah had spent the weekend at Claire's house while I pulled a double shift. I thought she was helping me out. Turns out she was helping herself. I demanded copies. She hesitated but finally emailed them over. And when I opened the PDF, my blood ran cold. There it was. Noah's birth certificate. Except my name was crossed out. Claire's typed neatly in its place. And below it, a signature that was supposed to be mine. It wasn't my handwriting. It wasn't even close. But right next to it was a notary stamp. Real, official, legal. And the witness signature? My mother's. I nearly threw up. I called her immediately. She answered on the second ring, all sweet and innocent. "Emily, hi. How's Noah? How could you?" My voice broke. "How could you sign those papers?" Silence. Then a sigh. "Honey, Claire just wants what's best for him." What's best for him? I choked. What's best for him is his actual mother. Not some delusional sister trying to steal him. Her tone turned sharp like I was the child. "You've always been so dramatic. Claire is stable. She has a house, a family. You're always working. You're never home. Do you really think Noah doesn't notice?" It hit me like a slap. My own mother had chosen her. "No," I whispered, shaking. "You're wrong. You're both wrong." But she just said coldly, "Noah belongs with Claire. It's time you accept that." I dropped the phone. My hands were shaking too hard to hold it. First my sister. Now my mother. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't just Claire's scheme. It was a family coup. They weren't just trying to take Noah. They were trying to erase me. I stormed back to Claire's house that evening. My mother's car was already parked out front. Of course. When I pushed open the door, the sight hit me like a fist. Noah sitting on the carpet, giggling, while my mother and Claire built towers of blocks with him. Like some picture-perfect family scene. Like I didn't even exist. "Noah," I said softly. Relief washed over me just seeing his face. He looked up, eyes bright. Then his smile faltered. He didn't run to me. He didn't even get up. Instead, he looked at Claire. At her. Like he needed permission. Claire smirked. "See, Em? He's comfortable here." I dropped to my knees in front of him. "Baby, it's mommy. Come here." Noah fidgeted with a block. His little voice was hesitant, almost rehearsed. "Grandma says you're too busy. Aunt Claire takes care of me now." The words nearly broke me. My throat burned, my chest caved in. But I forced myself not to cry in front of him. "Sweetheart, that's not true," I whispered. "I'm your mom. I've always been your mom." Claire's voice cut in, sharp as a blade. "Stop confusing him." I snapped my head up, eyes blazing. "Confusing him? You forged documents. You lied to my son. You're brainwashing him against me." Mom stood, arms folded, her judgmental stare pinning me down like when I was a kid. "Emily, lower your voice. You're scaring him." You're always so unstable. This is exactly why he needs Claire. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My own son was watching me, torn and uncertain, while my mother and sister painted me as the villain. And the worst part? He was believing them. For the first time I saw the future they were building, one where I was erased, replaced, forgotten. And in that moment I swore I would burn everything to the ground before I let them take him from me. The next morning, I walked into a lawyer's office with shaking hands and a folder full of evidence. I laid it all out on the table. The forged signature, the fake notary, the guardian paperwork with my mother's witness mark. The lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman named Dana, listened without interrupting. Then she leaned back in her chair and said, "This isn't just fraud. This is parental kidnapping. And if we can prove collusion between your sister and your mother, it gets ugly fast." Parental kidnapping. The words made my stomach twist. But at the same time I felt a flicker of hope. Because finally someone saw it for what it was. Dana filed an emergency petition that day. By law, Noah couldn't be transferred to another guardian until the case was reviewed. It bought me time. But time wasn't enough. I needed leverage. So I started digging. Claire had always been reckless with money. I pulled public records, called in favors, scoured social media. And what I found made my blood run cold. 6 months ago, Claire had filed for bankruptcy. 3 months ago, her electricity had been shut off for non-payment. And 2 months ago, she'd been investigated by Child Services after a neighbor reported screaming in the house. None of it had stuck, she was slippery. But the paper trail was there. When I showed Dana, she raised an eyebrow. "This is good. This shows instability. If we push, we can not only reverse guardianship but get a restraining order to keep her away." For the first time in weeks I could almost breathe. But that night, scrolling deeper, I found something I wasn't prepared for. A hidden Facebook album. Dozens of photos. Noah in Claire's arms. Noah in matching outfits with her daughter. Noah blowing out candles on a cake, with Claire standing behind him like the mother. And the captions. God, the captions. My boy. The son I always dreamed of. Finally complete. I slammed the laptop shut, my heart pounding. This wasn't about custody. This wasn't about paperwork. Claire had built an entire fantasy world where Noah was hers. And she wasn't going to let go without a fight. The courtroom smelled like stale coffee and floor polish. My palms were slick with sweat as I sat at the petitioner's table, staring at Claire across the room. She was dressed like she was auditioning for sainthood. Neat cardigan, hair pinned back, soft smile plastered on her face. Beside her, my mother sat stiff and composed, like she was the one handing down judgment. The judge entered. We rose. My stomach churned. Dana spoke first, laying out the facts. Forged documents, fraudulent notary, financial instability. She painted Claire as reckless, manipulative, unfit. My chest swelled with cautious hope. Then Claire's lawyer stood. And in less than 5 minutes he turned the world upside down. "Your Honor," he said smoothly, "this case is not about fraud. It's about a neglected child." Neglected? He looked straight at me, voice dripping with fake concern. "Ms. Blake works 16-hour shifts. She leaves Noah with sitters and relatives for days at a time. He arrives at school exhausted, sometimes hungry. My client, Claire Carter, has been the consistent parental figure in his life. She has provided love, stability, and care when his biological mother was absent." My blood boiled. I wanted to scream that it was a lie. That I had bled myself dry to keep a roof over Noah's head. That working 2 jobs wasn't neglect, it was survival. But then Claire stood. She dabbed her eyes with a tissue like some tragic heroine. "I never wanted to take him away from Emily," she whispered. "But Noah needs me. He calls me mommy sometimes. He cries when she leaves. He told me he feels alone." The words hit like bullets. My throat closed. I glanced at the judge and saw his face soften. No. No, no, no. Then Claire played her trump card. She pulled out a folder. Photos slid across the table to the judge. Pictures of Noah asleep on her couch. Noah holding her hand at the park. Noah clinging to her when I came late from work. And then the knife in the gut. A fake incident report from a neighbor claiming Noah had been left alone at my apartment one night. I shook my head violently. That's a lie. I never. The judge held up his hand. "Miss Blake, you'll have your chance." But I could feel it. The shift. Claire's lies were weaving a story, and the judge was listening. For the first time, I felt like I might actually lose my son. I thought I was finished. The judge's expression was tightening, and Claire's crocodile tears were painting me as some absent, unfit mother. My lawyer scribbled furiously, whispering that we'd fight back in closing arguments. But I could see it. The weight was tipping. And then, the courtroom doors opened. A man in work boots and a reflective vest stepped in, holding a stack of papers. "Excuse me, Your Honor," he said nervously. I was told I could testify?" It was Claire's neighbor. I blinked. We'd spoken once briefly, when Noah and I picked him cherries from his tree last summer. I didn't even know his last name. The judge frowned. "And you are?" "Mark Evans," he said, voice firmer now. "I live next door to Claire. And I think you need to hear this." Claire's face went pale. Mark stepped up, handed the bailiff a folder. "Those so-called incident reports Claire submitted? I wrote to Child Services myself, but not about Emily. About Claire. I reported screaming, neglect, and her leaving her own daughter outside at night. I never said anything about Emily. She forged my name on that statement." The judge flipped through the papers, his eyebrows rising. Mark kept going, voice steady, gaze locked on Claire. "I've seen Emily. She comes home exhausted, sure, but she's there for Noah. I've seen her walk him to the bus at 6 a.m. before work. I've seen her carry groceries and still take time to kick a ball around with him. She's a good mom. Claire, she's not what she pretends to be." The silence was deafening. Claire's lawyer sputtered something about irrelevant testimony, but the judge shut him down with a wave. Claire's mask cracked. For the first time, the smug calm was gone. Her face twisted, panic flashing in her eyes. I felt my heart hammering, my breath catching. Because in that moment I realized I wasn't alone anymore. Someone else had seen the truth. Someone else was willing to speak it out loud. And suddenly, the balance in the room shifted back. The judge's gavel tapped once. "Order. Miss Carter, do you wish to respond to this testimony?" For a split second, Claire sat frozen. Her hands clenched so tightly her knuckles went white. Then something snapped. She shot to her feet, voice rising, trembling with rage. "Yes. I'll respond. Noah is mine. He's been mine for years. Emily just doesn't want to admit it." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. My lawyer whispered, "Don't move, don't react." But Claire wasn't done. Her face twisted, all pretense gone. "Do you know what it's like, Judge? To raise a child every day and then have him ripped away at night? To be called aunt when you're the one who deserves to be mom? I'm the one who tucks him in. I'm the one he cries for. Not her. Not the one too busy working to notice him." The judge's face hardened. "Miss Carter." But she kept spiraling, voice cracking, spitting fury. "Emily doesn't deserve him. She doesn't want him. She just wants to look like a good mother, but she's not. She's nothing. That boy belongs to me. He's mine and nobody can take him away." Her lawyer tried to grab her arm, whispering desperately, but she yanked free. My mother stood too, reaching for her, but Claire shoved her hand away. The room was dead silent except for Claire's ragged breathing. And then slowly Noah's teacher, who'd been subpoenaed as a witness, stood from the back row. She spoke softly, but her words cut through the air like glass. "Noah calls you mommy sometimes because he's confused, Miss Carter. But when he draws his family in class, he always draws Emily. Always." Claire froze. The judge tapped the gavel again, his tone icy. "I've heard enough. Miss Carter, you've made your position clear. And in doing so, you've demonstrated precisely why custody should remain with Ms. Blake. This case is adjourned." Claire's face crumbled. She staggered back into her chair, shaking, muttering "No, no, no" under her breath. And me? For the first time since this nightmare began, I could breathe again. But the war wasn't over. Because I knew losing Noah in court wouldn't stop Claire. Not with obsession like that. The courthouse steps felt like holy ground. When I walked out with Dana by my side, the sunlight hit me in the face and I almost collapsed under its weight. Noah was safe. Officially, legally, irreversibly mine. But victory didn't taste sweet. It tasted hollow. Because what had been destroyed in that courtroom wasn't just Claire's case. It was everything left of my family. That night, my phone lit up with messages. From my mother. You didn't have to humiliate your sister like that. She just wanted to help. We're still family. Don't turn your back on us. From Claire, a single line. You'll regret this. I blocked them both. Then I went into Noah's room. He was asleep, clutching his stuffed dinosaur, his little face soft and unguarded. For weeks he'd been pulled between worlds, poisoned with whispers that I wasn't enough. And yet here he was, still mine. I knelt by his bed and whispered, "You'll never be confused again. You'll never wonder who your mother is. It's me. It's always me." He stirred, mumbled, "Mommy," and my chest broke open. The next morning I began cutting ties for real. I closed joint accounts I'd been paying into for years, utilities, streaming services, even the grocery tab my mother had always stuck me with. One by one, I severed the ropes they'd been pulling me with. It wasn't revenge. It was survival. Weeks passed. The calls slowed. The texts turned from rage to guilt to silence. Word spread through the family grapevine, twisted of course. I was cruel, I was selfish, I'd ruined Claire's life. Let them talk. I didn't care anymore. Because Noah laughed again. He ran into my arms after school. He drew pictures of us, just us, taped them to the fridge. The scar would always be there. The shadow of what they tried to steal. But in the silence that followed, something new grew. Peace. And as I watched my son ride his bike in the driveway one evening, the sunset painting him gold, I realized something. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who would never dream of erasing you. And for the first time in my life, it was just Noah and me. And that was enough.